Hi, everyone. I am Winnie Chan Wang, somebody who specializes in releasing trauma from the body. And I've been going on a lot of podcasts, and I really want to get to know my podcast host better. So today I am reverse hosting my podcast host. And with us today is Teresa Shantz. She is a certified spiritual educator from TNT Spirit Works. She has served time in the US Air Force, so we know that she is sharp and reliable. And she has also studied astrology and channeling. She's going to be launching her debut book called The Soulquake Survival Guide, Reviving Your Connection to Spirit in Earth-Shaking Times. Wow, wow, wow. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Wang. I'm so proud of you and excited to be here with you today.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about your journey. You were in, the US Air Force, and how did you get into astrology, channeling, and writing your book?
Well, a lot of people that come on my podcast and I interview, it's kind of like one thing leads to another. So I believe that as soon as I came back into in this body, that I'm on my spiritual path. And then things just unfolded and transpired and people were put in place. And about 38 is when I went to massage therapy school. And back to when you were saying I was in the military, that was when I was 17. So fast forward a bit to 38, massage therapy school. And that's really when everything started coming out spiritually. I did Reiki, I did craniosacral therapy, heart-centered therapy, reconnected healing, you name it. I dabbled, I enjoyed, I use it as a tool to open up. And then I was a massage therapist for 7 years. And then I started getting lots of psoriasis and breaking out of my hands. And I had autoimmune disorder that was starting to surface. And I had to give up my practice. It was then that I dived deep into, okay, what is this all about? And that's when really a lot of things started surfacing, past life issues, healing on a whole new level that I had no idea about, but it took me there. So that's in a nutshell, a little bit about how I came into where I'm at now with the spiritual work.
Yeah, so it's really amazing that you've made this transition. Tell us a little bit about staying calm, because I was reading one of your recent posts and you talk about discernment. And do you talk about this in your book? Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, so the book, yes, the book is, first I'll go back to what I used to call myself. I used to be calling myself a hot, energetic mess. Because before I understood how to discern energy and what's me and what's not me, I was all over the place. I was picking up energy of my kids, of the people I was working with, healing and massaging, of the environments I was in. And all of that was an accumulation of really a lot of energy that I didn't know what to do with. So at that time, I wasn't calm. But now that I understand that I'm an energy being in a physical body, how to work with my spiritual team of helpers, and really understanding that the bigger picture of everything, of what's me and what's not me, I'm able to stay more calm. And so through the book, I share 12 spiritual awarenesses. Each of these awarenesses really is an invitation for the reader to step into an understanding of who they are as a spiritual being. Everything from getting a bigger picture to start discerning your energy and what you're picking up and feeling, all the way to different types of intuition. So for myself these days, it's really about staying present. And I like to share that with others also, because being in the present moment, I can really feel what I feel. I can tune into, okay, what am I feeling and how am I feeling today? And why am I feeling this way when I wasn't feeling this way 10 minutes ago? Oh, my mom's thinking about me, or, oh, this is what's happening in my environment. So yes, the book is really, it's kind of like my podcast. It's a mini morsel book around the spiritual aspects in 12 awarenesses of who you are as a spiritual soul, and moving through the challenges and the earth-shaking times that we all go through.
Okay, so question for some of the listeners
Mhm.
who may not know how to do this. Okay, so let's say they are feeling a little bit abandoned.
Mhm.
How do they know if this is their abandonment wound or their mother's abandonment wound or the client's abandonment wound? Like, give us a little practical, how do we do it?
Boy, that's a big one because, as you know, we're layered, we're like onions. And so it really is, that's a deep dive into accessing that ability within the person, because what they're not going to probably recognize that at first, like, not knowing that I'm feeling like crap and why am I feeling that way. You really have to do some work on yourself. But the way I would start with it is really just tuning into who you are energetically. And that awareness, and I really just started even with just, working with your energy field and what is me and what feels like me. And then we do have the tntspiritworks.com, we do have some sessions, some consultations where we can go deeper into finding some blocks, and when have these blocks through your life shown up as concepts or beliefs. And like you're mentioning, where did they come from? Did they stem from your mom, your dad, the environment? Did you bring them in with you? And then once we recognize what are some of these blockages and concepts that we're holding or the person's holding throughout their life that shows up, we can then go into, okay, so how can we change that? How can we work with that concept and shift it where whenever it shows up next time, you can discern it and you can move past it. But again, there's always more layers. So I hope, is that a little answer to your question?
Yeah. So, because I think like a computer scientist, okay, so I'm looking at this decision tree here. Okay, so is it mine or is it not mine? So let's say I identified that this abandonment wound is my mother. Then what do I do? How do I release it?
Well, for us in the work that we do, it's really about becoming aware of it. So that awareness brings it to the surface. And then again, we would work with some of our tools and techniques of cleansing, working with your guidance, really understanding how to get your own answers about what you're going through. But we would support you in that as far as, really understanding how to work with your team and how to work with your energy. And then when that does show up, because sometimes it can come back, it's not like, oh, I tore that off the Band-Aid and here, it's still bleeding and it comes back in 2 or 3 months or years. When that comes back and surfaces, you can go, okay, I remember when this came back to me, this was, presented before. Now I know how to work with it differently because I'm working with my cleansing. I'm working with my spiritual team of helpers. So it's really accessing your whole being, really, in the sense of your energy, your spiritual helpers, and your intuition and how to work with that along with healing.
A lot of people talk about setting boundaries. Oh, I need to set a boundary with my mom. But then what they actually end up doing is closing their heart to their mom. So can you talk a little bit about, okay, so you keep emphasizing on awareness. Okay, so take a deep breath. I'm aware that I'm carrying some of my mother's stuff. Now, how do I create this? This is yours. What's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. Do you call that boundaries in the work that you do, or do you call it something else? How can I do it but still stay loving with my mom?
Well, what I would call it is that discernment.
Discernment. Okay.
Discernment versus boundaries. What's me, what's not me, and working with my energy field and keeping it cleansed. And we do have a technique we use, but there are people that, use crystals, use sage, whatever it might be you work with. But really, an understanding, a bigger picture to that, the people that are outside of me are on their own journeys. They have their own things they're going through. And a lot of what other people are going through is not pertaining to me. Now, granted, we're interacting and we maybe have some healing work to do together, but a lot of it's projections, a lot of it's, things they're throwing at other people and the energy we're feeling. And so really getting that bigger picture again, and that discernment that, yeah, what my mom's going through today, it's not about me. It's about her. I love her. I love where she's at energetically. I love her journey, but it's not what I need to be working with. So,
it's funny when you talk about using crystals and cleansing. I have this image of taking a shower, and it's kind of like this. If I go on a hike, I am going to pick up some mud, right? I am going to get dirty, but then I'm going to take a shower before I go to bed.
Mhm.
right? So we should not be afraid of going out into the world and getting dirty as long as we have a regular practice of brushing our teeth, taking a shower before we go to bed. Like we want to be able to eat chocolate. We just need to brush our teeth afterwards, right? So we do want these interaction with our clients, with our mother, but just at the end of the day, we can have a practice of cleaning what's theirs and what's ours. That's perfect. So, in one of your Facebook posts, you said, time is just part of the game we play while we're here.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about time because most of the listeners feel like they don't have enough time, or we're so spoiled by Amazon second day delivery. We think that time should be like press a button and it arrives, right? Tell us about patience, divine timing. Yeah, give us some illumination from your book.
Well, around timing, from my perspective, is that as a soul, we're endless. As a soul, we are eternal. There is no death. We're a constant. We just go from one form to the other. So for myself, the aspect of time is really about staying present. The more that I can be in this moment, speaking to you right now, I'm here, I'm in this time frame versus worrying about what tomorrow, next day, next year is going to be, or what happened in the past. I mean, none of that is relevant to this moment. Now, this moment does contribute to the next moment, but it's all that matters is this breath, this moment. So that's really the simple aspect for myself, is just keeping present, staying present. And I really like to emphasize the fact about being practical with spirituality, because it doesn't have to be complex.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be where, I mean, really, you have everything inside you need. It's just these little tidbits of, hey, how do I stay present? Is it through breath? Is it through just taking a moment and going in the bathroom and splashing water on my face to wake up, or to try, to cleanse, or whatever it's going to be. But really just keeping it simple. And to me, is staying present. And this, what I'm in right now, keeps me in this time right here.
That's great. So, what do you hope the readers of your book to get out of the book? Like at the end, what do you think they will get from your book?
In my book, I share a lot of stories about what I go through with the different awarenesses. And my goal for this book is to hopefully access and help people relax and really move through whatever soul quakes they're going through, but also understand that they're not alone, that all of us go through all kinds of things, and especially on the spiritual and the unseen aspects of who we are. Oftentimes people get caught up in, oh my gosh, what happened to me and I can't tell anybody. But no, you can tell people. There's people to talk to, there's people to support, there's people, like-minded souls. So that's really, I think, the biggest takeaway from the book is just realizing that you're a soul in a physical body. There are others out there, all of us, that are like you on different journeys, and really honoring the journey and learning how to just be more aware of who you are as a spiritual being.
It's really funny. You talk about Soulquake and also earth-shaking times. Tell us a little bit about what is a Soulquake and what do you see as earth-shaking times?
Well, it's funny because when this book came up with spirit, I grew up in Los Angeles, where we have earthquakes, which you're aware of, and we have tremors and we have shakes. And so and me saying that I've been a hot, energetic mess. So when I've gone through things in my life, whether it be the death of my brother and father, or a divorce, or whatever, it's even going out in the street and someone screams something and I'm like, it's something that happens that shakes you to the core. And so in my book, I do a Soulquake Richter scale that I created that helps you determine just emotional. What am I feeling right now? Am I feeling like, oh, I want to retreat? Am I feeling a little shaken, and but not too bad? From like, it's really 1 to 9, kind of like the Richter scales of, what would they deal with in earthquake areas. And so it's really just, so that's what a soulquake is when it shakes you up. Now, earth shaking times, I think that really depends upon the reader and how they interpret what we're going through. Because as far as the pandemic, I would say that was earth shaking on a global scale.
Oh, yes.
Right. But as far as maybe like the people in Turkey, well, that was an earth shaking time in an earthquake. But again, it could be a divorce, it could be a death, it could be your dog passing, it could be anything, even like, your partner screams at you, or you're just, even honestly, you watch something on TV and it shakes you up inside. Like, I really need to see that again for the 20,000th time today, really. So it can be a variety of things, and that's up to the reader and what they're going through or what they are experiencing in their life.
So what is the most important tip that you want everybody to know when they're having these soul quakes?
I guess the biggest tip would be that you can make it through, that nothing can shake you so badly that you can, you don't need to leave. You can stay here, grow and learn through whatever you're going through, and then expand that into the next event you're going to. Because every time we go through something, we learn, we grow, and then that just really shapes who we are as a soul and a being for the next thing that happens. Because I don't know like you, but I mean, I know that until the day I die, my last breath, I'm going to be going through things. That's just how this planet is. So just understanding that aspect, that you can make it through anything.
That's so interesting, because you've studied astrology.
Mhm.
And I wonder how much of what we go through in life is just being a speck of dust in the cosmos, right? Because sometimes we behave differently in the day or night, with new moon, full moon, when like Venus or Mercury goes into retrograde. There's so much happening in the universe. And sometimes it's a really great lesson to not take things too personally, because certain parts of us are being activated with the planets and stuff like that. Well, I'm so grateful to be a guest on your podcast. Tell us a little bit about why you started a podcast and what you hope the listeners of your podcast get out of it. And also, what did you get out of our particular episode together?
Well, I began the podcast Enthusiastically Spiritual in the summer of 2020. If you can recall back what was going on in 2020, my husband and I were over in Australia doing mind, body, spirit festivals and doing some of our work. And we got stuck over there during COVID. So we were out in the middle of nowhere in a place called Bathurst. It's west of Sydney, and in a little house. And I was like, okay, well, how do I outflow? What do I do? And Spirit's like, create a podcast. I'm like, okay. So I was literally in a room under a bunk bed doing my first couple episodes, and that's how it started. And so what it's developed into, because at first, the first few months, it was just me basically just sharing insights and just stories that I have, spiritual stories that connect with people. And it's really developed into having beautiful guests like you come on and sharing mind, body, spirit aspects of spirituality. And I like that because of the fact that it's almost like a buffet line of coming through and getting taste of this and that. And some you might resonate with, and some maybe not, and some, what's that? So it's a really nice buffet, buffet of different types of aspects about mind, body, and spirit. Now, our episode, the big takeaway that I received from our episode was in regards to the shadow aspect of what you do and how that relates to our organs, our emotions, and how to move through that with working with acupuncture and some of the techniques that you have. That to me is really big, because I feel a lot of my body as an empath, which a lot of these viewers might be, the same way, like I feel my heart or I feel my liver. And so understanding that those organs hold a lot of these emotions is a big deal, because it really is a whole new access to healing. So that's my takeaway from our episode, which is an amazing episode, and I can't wait to release it tomorrow.
Oh, yay. Perfect. So tell the followers, tell us how to follow you on social media, your website, and how to listen to the podcast.
Okay, well, you can go to my website, which is tntspiritworks.com. And on the website, you can actually find the link to my book list to get on the early bird book list, because my book will be out in middle of June or so. And you can also find the podcast on there. But you can also go to TNT Spirit Works on Facebook. You can follow me on Teresa Shantz on Facebook. TNT Spirit Works on Instagram. And then we do have a really great TNT Spirit Works YouTube channel, which you can also watch the video that you and I posted. It'll be on there starting tomorrow, that we created.
Okay, great. So thank you everybody for listening, and hopefully you really enjoy our podcast together. As always, you can check out my offerings at mindfulhealingheart.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Please like, share, and subscribe. We equip people with the skills to navigate the ups and downs of life. Will you help us solve the mental health crisis? Please donate to Compassionate Transformation at lovect.net. Thank you, thank you, thank you.